Guys, welcome back to the trilogy of Becoming Branches. This is, I think, our first back-to-back trilogy with a special guest. Guys, this is Senior Pastor Roger Stroup here at Calvary Chapel of Danville, our home church. Pastor Dustin McKinney, our community pastor. And as you guys know, trilogies are amazing. I can think of Lord of the Rings trilogy. Amazing.
Star Wars.
4, 5, and 6 only.
This is true.
4, 5, and 6 only.
So we better be careful. Some trilogies are just straight up trash.
That's so true.
So Pastor, no pressure, but this is our first trilogy, so I'm looking at you, man. It's all on you. You're either going to make or break this episode.
My favorite character is Jar Jar.
That's 1 and 2.
Broke it.
That's
no
1
good.
and 2. That's 1 and 2.
Actually, I've never seen Star Wars. So.
Can we edit that out?
Yes, please, Christina, edit out this nonsense talk. It's been so good, and now you've thrown all your credibility out the window.
So as you guys know, we've been talking about a lot of things. Our role as husbands, his experience over 31 awesome years with his wife, Lori, and he's bestowing wisdom on us. I've been married, it'll be 14 years this July. And this has just been an incredible series.
Yeah.
What are we getting into today?
Yeah. We're going to talk more about the husband. And Pastor Roger, thank you so much for being on our podcast, just sharing your wisdom, sharing scripture. Has been incredible. And I think our viewers have gotten to know Pastor Roger, the pastor, and Pastor Roger, the husband. But I don't know if they fully have got to know yet Pastor Roger, the man.
That's the third series.
Yeah. So Pastor, tell us a little bit about. So we know that you like to go hiking with Lori, and you have date nights and stuff like that. But tell us some more things about you. Like, what do you love to do? Like, if you went home and had nothing to do, what would you do?
Wow, that's a good question. I do enjoy sleeping.
That's good. I enjoy sleeping too.
Yeah.
I do. But not by 6:30.
No.
I really enjoy going to the gym.
Yeah.
Working out. I love, of course, summertime. If you know me any time at all, I really want to be Snowbird Church pastor, where we all pack up in November and we all go to Florida.
I support this. Do you support it?
I'm down. Let's
and
make
we
it happen.
all come back in April for an Easter service.
Are you paying for everybody?
No, that is the logistical
There's the caveat.
That is the problem. Is the monetary issue, but it's still a great idea. Snowbird Church.
Okay.
I think I was the first to think of it.
Yeah. So
#Snowbird.
Yes. So Pastor, as I've got to know you a little bit, we do share a love for the Grinch, Jim Carrey's version of the Grinch. I also know that you are a big fan of Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
So if you had to pit one against the other to be a better husband, since we're talking about husbands, who would be a better husband and why? Pee Wee Herman or the Grinch?
Oh, first, are we talking Grinch pre or post heart size? That is it.
Well, actually,
Because
once the Grinch got born again, now he has the opportunity to get into the Word.
His heart grew 3 times, and this time
you've heard it here.
He's going to keep it.
Yeah, and Pee Wee's not saved.
Gotcha.
I guess there we go.
So the Grinch, his heart grows, he meets Jesus, he would be a better husband.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. Anyways, so to get into some more topics tonight, because we have a lot of questions, our viewers have a lot of questions, and we love learning from you. So, Pastor Roger, there's one question that I really want to ask. It's hard to ask because, in our world, in our society, we've gotten now lots of different visions for the design of family. And our whole point of this podcast has been, or this series, is that God's design is best. And so when we talk about marriage between a man and a woman, we talk about that because we believe that Scripture has revealed that this is God's design for the family. And so if you're out there and this is something that you're struggling with as far as what should the makeup of a family be, or is everything okay? Please know that we're coming at this because we want you to know Jesus Christ, and we want you to know that we really live to glorify Him, and we live at our best when we live within God's design. And so, Pastor, why do you think we experience God's best when we honor God's design for marriage between a man and a woman?
Well, God's blessing is like a covering. It's like an umbrella. And when I'm walking in a stormy world, there is an element of safety under the umbrella, right? It's pouring down rain. I may not be completely dry, but I'm mostly dry because I have this covering over me. God's words, God's commands, God's designs are like a covering in our life. We live in a very broken world. It's a fallen world. There's a real devil at work in this world, trying to cause chaos, trying to destroy. And we make his job so much easier when we get off the path. Mm-hmm. God's path. You might get your shoes muddy. Okay, Jesus said in this world you're going to have tribulation, but there's still this narrow road that we walk on, and there's safety on that road. When we veer off, all of a sudden we get into the weeds and we get confused. We walk out of that side of that covering. God's not a cruel taskmaster in the sky saying, do this because I said so. He's saying, do this because you'll be blessed. Mm-hmm. Do this, walk down this road. This is a safe road. This is a good road. You will be glad you went down this road. Mm-hmm. Keep following it. And so many things now are designed by the devil, but have seeped into our society, and offering, oh no, you'll be happy if you do this. You'll be happy if you rethink your gender. You'll be happy. So many of these things, they're really sad things, because there's a God-shaped hole in our heart. And the only thing that can fill that is God. Mm-hmm. And so when we try to fill it with so many other things, it never works. There's never satisfaction. And we're actually putting ourselves in grave danger. In fact, eternal danger, mm-hmm. By walking outside of God's plan. But marriage in particular, it tells us where husbands love your wives, Christ loved the church, and wives honor your husbands. And he goes on to say that this is actually a picture, marriage is a picture of the church. And so it's very disappointing when the world takes this word marriage that God has defined.
Right.
See, God has defined this, and the United States government doesn't have the right to redefine what God has defined. And it's really a big deception. So you can call these other unions marriage, because nobody can stop you from using the word, but that word doesn't mean what you think it means. Mm-hmm. Because God is the one who designed that word, that relationship, and it's a picture of something bigger and greater, the church, mm-hmm. and how God is married to the church. Another reason why our marriages are so important is because it's a picture of our collective relationship with Jesus Christ.
Right.
We're going to be the bride of Christ throughout eternity, and he is going to love us like a good husband, and we will honor and respect him, right?
Right.
And we will find our completion and our satisfaction in that relationship.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. That's really good. I mean, it is something that I think about. Like I said, I've been in public school, I've been an administrator, been a teacher, and I've seen students, even just in talking with them and even talking about marriage and fully believing lies that they hear about marriage. So, I even remember talking with a student, and I was talking about how they want to find someone that just makes me happy, that we have a give and take relationship. And on the surface, that may seem really good. Yeah, finding somebody that makes me happy, but there's something so much more purposeful and meaningful within God's design of marriage that's beyond just someone that makes you happy. And I remember, I think I mentioned it in another episode where I had a professor talk about, man, marriage is not give and take, it's give and give. It's like, what can I do to honor you? What can I do to love you? And I think that's what we see in Ephesians 5. So the crux of that, though, is knowing truth and knowing God's design, but we do have these things that try to distract us, try to pull us away. We've talked about that before. Whether it's sports, I would love for my wife Alexandra to let me watch, every Cubs game, which she does let me watch some Cubs games, so I'm pretty happy about that. But I even things like that, like baseball's not a bad thing. Baseball can be a good thing, but it can be a bad thing when it starts to distract me from the things that are even more important. So, well, the question I want to ask you, Pastor, and also you, Adam, what are things that you guys do to make sure that God is staying at the center of your marriage and you're not getting sidetracked by all of these different things and lies and deceptions that the enemy would have for us?
Well, one is you need to stay in the Word. I've got a little mantra, a chapter a day for life, and it's kind of a play on words that at very minimal, get into the Word every day. It's like food. And at least read a chapter. Meditate on what God says for just at least just a little while. I mean, if you went, all day without eating, you'd start to get sick. Your body would start to get sick. And so often we're spiritually sick because we don't feed our spirit. So I think there has to be a commitment to the Word. My wife has a commitment to the Word. She's in the Word. I'm in the Word. One thing, had we, looking back, and I wish we'd have been in the Word together more. But I think that's a huge thing right there, is feeding ourselves on the things of God. I really enjoy listening to Tony Evans' podcasts, and my wife is now enjoying them as well. So we usually, listen to those every day. And just feeding your spirit gets you back on track. Listening to a good, solid voice. Faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word of Christ. And just, even if it's just a little bit every day, it's amazing how much that goes toward, I'm only fit to bring health into a relationship if I'm healthy. And so it's just very important that we feed ourselves the things of our spirit that we should.
Yeah.
So for Christina and I, there has been a tremendous joy of being co-worship leaders. We lead worship here at Calvary Chapel, and putting songs together and talking about worship, talking about, sometimes you'll email and say, hey, this is kind of the theme, and we'll pray over worship, and we do that together. And I don't want to not mention Kayla, her younger sister, my sister-in-law, who also will a lot of times be there with us. But it's that communication we have. We are looking over worship. How are we going to worship God the best we can together? We're looking at the Word, again, praying together. I think there's having your individual time with Jesus is awesome. But like you mentioned, having that joint time together with God is something is really awesome. And my children and I, we do nightly devotions as a family, and we pray together.
That's good.
And we make that a priority. Now, every night, no, right? Sometimes kids aren't feeling well. We've had those long days, but we do try to make it a priority to, hey, guys, this is time for prayer. Put away the toys. Let's be serious. We're talking to the King of Kings. And but doing things together purposefully, intentionally. And like you mentioned, Dustin, how are we going to outserve each other? And how are we going to... what can I do for her? And then she's also thinking, well, what can I do for my husband? And it's just this rotating circle. It's really good. We kind of talked about it in our last episode when you had that, keeping that spark alive. I think that a lot of times when, especially with, we all have children can sometimes trump or feel like it overtakes that personal one-on-one time with your wife, because you have kids and they're running around, especially younger. Now when they get older, it does get easier, but keeping that intentionality of, you're my wife, I love you, we need us time. Let's go out. And but it absolutely is anchored in the Word.
Yeah, no, that's...
And you what do you do?
We don't talk to each other.
All right.
No, not at all. It's like, we usually...
Those head nods?
What's up?
How you doing?
No, my wife is amazing. And we do have our separate devotional time, but what I love about my wife is She'll tell me what she's learning. She'll tell me what she's reading. She'll tell me what she has in her podcast. And then we do the Rainy married couple devotion. We do that together. And what I love about it is it asks the questions that we will not ask of each other naturally. So it kind of forces us to go deep, to have some of those tougher conversations that we should have that draw us closer together and closer to God. But I agree, making sure that you're having that one-on-one time with the King of Kings and that your spirit is in the right place. Because we mentioned it in one of our first episodes that God created Adam. That was that first relationship. That relationship has to come first. And then he points us to the next most important relationship, and that is with our wives. Even more so our children. I know that's tough to hear. We love our kids. What I tell people is we actually love our kids more by loving our wife.
Absolutely.
When we're good husbands, we can be even better fathers in return. So anyways, it has been an incredible series. Pastor Roger, thank you so much. One thing that we want to make sure that we're leaving everybody with, again, is God's design is best. And I think all three of us can sit up here and say that we are not perfect husbands. We have failed many, many times. I'm sure I recognize with Paul the chief sinner when it comes to being a good husband. But I'm learning and I'm growing, and it makes it easier when I learn and grow with other husbands who have their priorities straight. So if you're out there and you're listening, find some good Christian friends who are husbands who will challenge each other, help to keep each other walking on that path, because it is so important. So Pastor Roger, thanks again for joining us. It has been an awesome series. Do you want to take us out, Adam?
You were doing such a great job.
I felt in the moment, but I would feel wrong not passing it over to you.
Okay, well, guys, that's all the time we do have, as he was very well saying. Thank you so much for this time with us. Thank you so much, Pastor, for being with us. And this has been an awesome series, and we're going to continue to talk about different avenues of family as we move forward. Guys, stick with us. We'll see you next time.